If you were going to buy yourself a full-size bottle of this little bad boy, that is this Remy Martin XO Cognac, it would set you back the best part of 220 US dollars. That's roughly about £175 here in the UK. But if you wanted an XO from the same company, and I use that in the loosest sense at this precise moment, if you wanted an XO that would save you a bit of money, this comes in at roughly 35 US dollars, 190 US dollars cheaper, roughly about £27 here in the UK. Now I'm really looking forward to this two-part video because I am comparing St Remy Brandies to Remy Martin Cognacs. I'm going to be telling you the difference, I'm going to be tasting the difference, and then by the end of the second video, hopefully we should have an idea of whether, you know, spending an extra $200 on a bottle of brandy or cognac is actually worth it. Hello, fellow brandy lover. Welcome back to the channel. But if you are new around these parts, then hello and welcome. My name is Steve the Barman, and right here on my black channel, I mainly talk about all things brandy, whether it's grape brandy, apple brandy, or any other kind of fruit brandies. I'm on a journey of discovery and I want you to join me. So if that sounds like fun, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But if you do want to check out any of my 5 other YouTube channels, then make sure you check out the links in the description below. Now, until about 2 hours ago, I literally cannot remember the last time I ever tasted a French brandy. Not a cognac, a brandy or an Armagnac, you know, proper French brandy. The brand that comes into my head, and this is going back 20 years or so when we kind of used to use it because it was a cheap one at one of the bars I was working at, is Jules Clarion. Now I know that was a budget brand, but in my mind, I cannot think of a time where I've actually tasted a French brandy. Now I'm just sipping on the normal VSOP at the moment, and I have to tell you, it is quite tasty. Now I'm really looking forward to this 2 video series because it might seem easy and obvious to a lot of you to compare a French brandy to a French cognac. But don't forget, cognac has very specific rules, regulations, grape varieties, barrels, even types of stills that can be used. So it's rare that you ever get the opportunity to literally compare something from virtually the same company as one is a cognac and one is a brandy. And that's what we've got here effectively, because even though they are different brandy houses, if you like, they are effectively, for all intents and purposes, they are effectively the same country. They're owned by Remy Cointreau, you know, massive global player here. You can see by the name, Remy Martin and St Remy, you know, the distinguishing feature is that St Remy is the brandy and Remy Martin is the French cognac. Now, and again, I want to really emphasize this point that this cannot and can never be a direct comparison, brandy to cognac, even if it is the same brand, because of the base grapes that might be used, especially in this. I mean, whereas the grapes for Remy Martin Cognac are only grown in the Cognac region of France, the grapes sourced to make St Remy Brandy are sourced from all over France. So that in itself is a big difference. But what I'm hoping to take from this is kind of, as a parent company, you would hope that they've possibly got the same ethos, the same blending styles, the same kind of outlook of what brandy and cognac should actually be. So in my mind, this is possibly the closest that we can get to comparing a brandy to a cognac. Now, again, when, you know, I kind of want to emphasize this point a bit going forward in videos, you know, brandy takes on the same kind of ethos as some of the older Caribbean countries when it comes to rum. Take Barbados, for instance. Barbados are renowned for blending different ages together, different barrel finishes together to create that final product. And that is very true when it comes to cognac and brandy in general. You know, cognac is always seen as a blend of different grapes, different barrels, different kind of, you know, ratios putting things together. So it's very much a blended product. Yes, you do get single vintages, single varieties in cognac as well, and in brandy, But most brandies, especially like this, when they don't say single vintage or a year on there, they will be blends. Now, again, this is another great brand for me to feature on this channel, because I know full well, and I've started doing this quite a bit now, that I go on Total Wines, for instance, in the US, and I know full well that both of these, in fact, most of these 5 bottles that I've got here are available in the US. I'm not saying every single state, but if they're featured on Total Wines, you know full well that they're pretty much a bigger deal when it comes to spirits over in the US. So resisting temptation, and you'll notice I haven't cracked any of these bottles. I can't think of the last time I had a Remy Martin Cognac. All of these are sealed still. I'm going to save that for video 2, which I'm going to film straight after this. But for now, I'm going to focus on the cheap stuff. And I'm really looking forward to this, because so many people, you know, dismiss cheap liquids. But just to kind of get myself going and drinking this, as I say, for the last half an hour, I'm really enjoying this. This is a really good, neat sipper. So let's just hit you with the 2 prices first and foremost here. Not going to go around the houses, just very quick pricing. The St Remy Brandy VSOP is $28 US and 22 British pounds, if you like. And then the St Remy XO is $34 US and £26.50, give or take, here in the UK. Now, I know I have looked at Total Wines and they are roughly about the sort of similar prices. And as I say, you know, France, Europe, we are exporting to France. So I don't expect to see too dissimilar prices, if you like, between the UK and the US, because it is not coming from the US here. It's coming from Europe over there. So I'm expecting a lot of prices as we go to be pretty similar. So starting off with this VSOP, obviously we know, because of XO, we know we are talking at least 4-year-old liquids that have gone into here, because that's going to be no different. It is, if they use VS in France, especially when the sister brand is a cognac, which, if they say VSOP, does adhere to cognac's rules and regulations. So we know that this is going to be at least a 4-year-old. But this is light, this is delicate, this is floral, this is honey, this is apricot on there. This is a very approachable, no alcohol burn at all, in the slightest, going on with this. This just is delicious. It just glides down on the finish as it really comes out. And so you get this little bit of oakiness, but not too much. It is there. Maybe like subtle hints of vanilla, but I would interpret that more as kind of like a honeyed peach vibe. That's definitely what springs into my head drinking this. Big, bold notes of floral, honey, peach. I really do enjoy sipping that. Now, the one thing I might add in here is just cocktail bartender at heart coming out to play here. This might not have the depth of flavour to really carry through in some cocktails. The cocktails that I've done on this channel already, the sidecar, the julep, and the rum fashioned, I wouldn't want to drink that as a rum fashioned, the VSOP. I think adding sugar to that is probably gonna, you know, it's gonna lose its flavour that it's got here. I think the flavour really does come through as it is. But the sidecar, I would probably put this in. This would be a great sidecar brandy. Stay tuned for the second video to think, actually, do you know how much better are these? But I'm telling you, what, $28 US, £22? That for me is a steal at the moment. Now, getting on to the XO, wow, this is completely different. And again, I'm not overly convinced. I haven't tasted it yet, but I'm not overly convinced on the nose that I would pick same distillery, same brand. I do get that sort of floral honeyed peach, but it's amped up, if you like. It's, how can I put it? It's not as light and fresh of where that is. That's really light and crisp. This is more kind of, this definitely wants to give you a cuddle, definitely. And I think after another couple of minutes or so, just smelling the aroma, I think I'm possibly getting a little bit of pear on there. Probably not apple, but, you know, to emphasise, it is that honeyed peach, definitely that honeyed peach, but you get more sort of vanilla, more concentrated. That's a good word I would use, concentrated aroma. Definitely, you know, it's, I'm just going to drink it. Wow, that is good. That is really good. Christ, I'm looking forward to drinking these. Right, definitely more suited to a rum fashioned. Definitely more suited to that mint julep. Is that going to work in the sidecar? Yes, but I think because of my penchant for, if you haven't followed me on my rum journeys, when it comes to daiquiris, I really do like those light, clean, crisp rums, column still rums. So for me, the sidecar is not the brandy version of the daiquiri, but it sort of is, if you know what I mean. For me, I think on flavour profile, I would much prefer to have the VSOP in that sidecar. But I think this is going to give a deeper, richer flavour. So for those of you that don't mind, pot still daiquiris or, even aged rum daiquiris, I think you would actually really enjoy this in something like the sidecar. I like the word I came out with a minute ago, the concentrated. Yes, that is honeyed peach. The only way I can really describe this to you is the VSOP is a light, clean, crisp honey peach floral notes, whereas the XO is a deeper, richer, more robust, more guts to it, but still floral honey peach, if that makes sense. It is that same flavour profile, and that would be interesting as I go down this journey, because I've noticed the flavour profile with Pierre Ferrand, having got used to those now. I've done a little bit with Courvoisier, but I've still got to do the video for Courvoisier. So this is only really my second brand where I'm kind of, the Bonneroy, obviously the Calvados. You kind of get those inherent flavours coming through there. But again, I would argue that apples are slightly different to grapes, but it's that same style. I think after a few months of doing this, I might be able to recognise similar brands, similar blending profiles, if that makes sense. Because there's no mistaking that. It is honey peach. I've said it 5 or 6 times now. That's what I'm sticking to. So look, to sum up this video very quickly before I dive into the Remy Martin Cognacs, there's a couple of things I need to answer here. Are they worth the money? And which one should you buy out of these two? For me, at this precise moment, yes, massively worth that money. What did I say? $34, $28, £26.50, 22. Do you know what? I know how much Mummy Barman, this is going to be interesting actually. I know how much Mummy Barman pays for her Courvoisier VS. And it's a bit more expensive than this. And I would half imagine her to swap to something like this. I would half imagine. Now, I'll give her a little taste off this. So, in that realms, here's probably one comparison. If you're a VS cognac drinker, perhaps it is time you upgraded to a VSOP or an XO Brandy, because you are probably getting a better quality. Because don't think that all cognacs are better than brandies. Brandies are just not made in the cognac region of France. That's all it is. Yes, there are strict rules and regulations that they have to adhere to, but does that make them better? In 2024, does that automatically make a cognac better than a brandy? That's a big debate. So, in that sense, I would probably urge you, if you are an entry level, and I haven't attacked Hennessy, I haven't attacked Martell, but from Courvoisier point of view, which I have got a lot of kind of knowledge about, I would upgrade the Courvoisier VS. I would definitely upgrade to one of these two for less money. Now, the question of which one you should buy, I don't think I can actually answer that, because they're very, very different. For me, if you are looking at these for cocktail uses, the VSOP for much lighter citrus forward cocktails, whereas the XO, probably your heavier, richer cocktails. At this precise moment, before I get involved in those, I'm flipping loving these. Right, now obviously this will come out a week later, but after that, to watch part 2, dive into that video right there.